All right, we are going to start His Grace Dongal's class here in just a second. How to fight lefty, how to fight a lefty. So we'll get that going. All right, anybody interested in how to fight lefty or how to fight lefty? Or fight against the lefty, please. Class is starting. All right. Don't worry, they start filling in usually after.
But I owe you one. Or 3 or 5.
Yep, you're going.
So this is real quick and dirty. It's not like super in depth, but there are just a couple of really basic things that anybody can do that will instantly make you more successful.
An old man, like these things don't always work.
Start by saying, like, if you only learn one thing from this class, if you're one of the people that does the only left on those pick your shield up, stop doing it. Right? If you're adjusting your defense by just moving your arm over some of that, what you're doing is you are pre-committing all of that shoulder movement and probably some of your hips just being in stance, and you don't have any more motion there. If they go that way on you, you can't go out and get it. Where are you going to do it? So instead of adjusting your shield over this way because it's a left, just whenever you line up against your opponent in your base defense, just face their sword stroke. Right? If he's a righty, I'm going to line up in my base defense this way. If he's a lefty, I'm going to line up in my base defense this way. So I still have all of this hip motion and I have all of this arm motion left to defend myself.
As compared to...
Yes, exactly, as compared to that. Yes.
So why do you say compared to that? Can turn it around? Can they see it?
You can say,
Go ahead.
what a lot of people do as soon as they recognize a lefty is they just take their guard and they put the shield over and go, this is how they start.
And that's wrong because?
You're already pre-committing all of your arms to just being in stance. You don't
Gotcha.
have any motion left in that direction to keep defending yourself.
Thank you.
Move your feet, not your shield. It's your base defense for a reason, right?
Yeah.
That's what you learn to block with. So just use that. Just also, you have to stop kind of caring so much whether it's left or right. If you just always go out and do that, it's just a fight then. So that's thing number one. And if you only remember one thing, take that one home with you guys. The other thing I will say is absolutely just watch a bunch of lefties fight. Right? Because there's commonalities. I will tell you, I love watching righties fight each other because there are things that you all do to each other that I normally can't use, but every once in a while I get to fight another lefty, and now all of a sudden, like, I will tell you straight up, my favorite shot in the entire SCA throw is that kind of center drop.
Oh yeah.
Tip, you get your hand behind the shield and it drops back inside of it. It's a super fun shot to throw. It's really, really effective. But unless they're like a crazy overblocking center grip fighter with a right, you can never tag something. But when you overreach, then I might actually hit that elbow with that same shot. But it's super fun to fight. But again, it's one of those things that I learned by watching righty versus righty fighting. So if you watch lefties fighting righties, but just look at what they do. And there's, I mean, if there's only 2 shots, a lefty's going to hit you, right? One's going to be the deep body rack, and one's going to be the outside head shot. Right? Because the offside head for us is the equivalent of your guys' flat. Right? That's where helmets come open at. And with motion, it's most likely that you can get around the corner for that deep breath. The other thing is, and this ties really, really well with all of the movement stuff that all of these classes leading up to this, right? Positional control of your opponent, right? You can control, like, obviously you void things, all that sort of, right? And you guys all understand the whole, like, we've all got a range fan that comes out of our weapon shoulder, right? Come on, for a second, right? And so, for instance, right now, we're standing here. This is a dead even fight, right? Our circles are roughly overlapping everything. Okay. If you have an opposite-handed opponent from you who will let you do this, just offset by 6 inches. You don't want to get crazy out, because at this point, my shoulder's in free air. If you can probably feel it, your offense is actually much more limited now, because now you have to go out and around. And if you just flash something, right, show them to make their brain think, slide out, they're less likely to fix that, and then you keep fighting there. But now, when they go to throw, they have to go around to get some stuff, which gives you a huge amount of time to get to where that shot is.
So against the lefty, you want to position yourself a little bit on the other side?
You want to stand on my weapon shoulder.
Right.
So it's hard.
Right.
Right. Not even that much.
Center of your chest. Right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you want to center yourself. Right. You probably just think about yourself throwing shots, right? Think about where you can hit, right? How much more limited it is just by our body. So now you have to get big, go around and get stuff. You get big, come around to the offside. So subtle.
Yeah, and if you look at in Sven's class, he does the exact same thing.
So you can take a shot and just position.
And I do that, like, yeah, I like if somebody will let me just dive in with something, just a slap at their face, right? Because now their brain is right up here. And while you're doing that, and I like to disguise it with the J step at the end, disguise that motion. Which so as I'm throwing the stat, my foot and hips are still, because I don't want them to show them a vector that's over there, right? So I'm still coming forward until the last plant, and then the foot comes out, and I'm on that offset position, right? So it's forward and out. And that's, again, that's on an approach, so it's a little more step than you would probably normally advocate for, but it's a way that I figured out to hide that motion. Because if I just show him this,
He's gonna go do it.
But if it looks more like,
And he just moved, right? Especially, I guess, if you plant him there first with like a shot to a fake towards the head,
Yeah.
he'll settle in a tension, and then you're sliding right off.
yep. Yeah, that's right. Because once you get to here, again, I go most lefties. Now everybody expects there to be a giant bomb throwing contest way up high, right? Which
Yeah.
it may get there in a second, but the first thing I want to do is establish the position I want to be in, so I can defend everything that I need to.
What about circling against the left? We don't really have an example, but if you're fighting a lefty, focusing on the shield shot. Stay away from it.
So I would advocate strongly against that. Especially if you let your hips rotate just a little bit too far this way, because what you're actually doing is showing not just the front corner of your helmet, you're actually showing me the back half up here, and now that offside turns into something much harder for you to block. Like 1001, what you should never do against an offside opponent is come and turn in any type of way. Because that makes that offside head. Now I've got a lot bigger target to get to it, and it's way harder for you to get it.
And actually, that's what happens a lot is because you're trying to be defensive, like as a right-hander, as you're coming in, right? Go ahead here. A lot of times, what happens is they'll enter. The first thing they'll do when they set up is like, "This is not great.
It's not.
He's gonna. I think I'm over here, but I'm not. This offside head is like. This is where he hits you in the back of the head, like you're saying.
It is.
He
It
also
is.
rips the inside of my legs.
Right, and so also weird positions like this, you'll see me, I'll start grabbing kind of odd looking starting sword positions, because what I'm actually doing is giving myself a vector straight into that hole. Like, so if he's going to creep in like that, I'm literally going to come out here, because what I want to be able to do is throw that slot down.
And that's
Without having to curve it, right? Right? The thing about, and do this at practice, like stand behind fighters while they're fighting. Don't just like stand and spot, but because one of the things that's absolutely true that we don't always get in our brain is it's not what your eyes can see that you can hit, it's what your hands can see. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah, that's really. So it doesn't make sense. I'm working with somebody that's just like that. A lot of people can't see, like what? Go against him, right? He can't see necessarily his body, but it doesn't mean his body's not there, right?
Right. And from here to get into that body, I've got to do something really complex and weird. If I just change my starting sword position, Now I've got a line.
See that? But he didn't have
I didn't even have to. I didn't even have to do a body shift. I didn't do anything. I just changed my starting shorts.
So that's what he means by not seeing.
Right. But a good way to get that into your head is just go stand behind people and look at what their sword is from the point of view of that sword. Right. And then you'll start realizing that there's a lot of value sometimes in, you know, changing, not just changing your elevation here, but changing your elevation with this stuff too, because it opens way different stuff up. What else?
So what if I'm a righty against you? How do I attack you, Mister? You're gonna kick my butt?
Literally do exactly what I just said that I'm gonna do to you.
Well, that's not fair. That seems way too complex.
Everything, right? That's the thing about it, right? Everything that we do, it's open on us. And probably we're less proficient at spotting it defensively because we're way more used to doing it from the offensive side.
That's
We're
right.
not defending it. Yep.
So this is, I guess, another exercise at home. It's like you can, like, if you don't have left-handers, you should practice left-handed. You're like, okay, you get to be the left-hander today.
Right, and just, I mean, if nothing else, right? Throw the deep step in wraps and throw the big offside ball.
So can you show against him like a couple of primary things, and you just be not you?
I don't even know what's normal.
So, right? Again, went for the offset.
Look, he's offset on his foot. He's outside his foot.
Right? He let me gain position on the shield too, so now it's really easy.
Yeah. And that's a big block. That's very hard to get.
Yeah.
So how are you blocking that? Get that shield in there. There we go.
The other thing that you don't want, and here's another great shot, right? So learn to throw the offside leg.
Yeah, okay. That's hard.
It is, and it's a terrifying shot, right? Because you're like, everything's hanging out and open. But because of how defenses, you know, right, they're tending to move from here to here to here to here, there's kind of always ignoring that quarter down there. So if you're throwing this kind of up and around stuff, that's there. Right? And, I mean, super basic techniques. Everybody wants to draw cut their outside leg shots, and then they just don't hit hard. Right? Make sure your hand is going forward.
And your hip is going forward.
Or down.
Right, or down.
I'm a big fan of sit your ass.
Yeah.
What?
Drop the weight into it.
Yep, exactly right. Yeah.
But don't pull it back.
Any weight shift can be used as a power shot, right? It doesn't matter what it is. As long
This
as
distance just depends on if you have to add your hip.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm terrified to throw them really long ways away.
It's funny, Wrongbalder, man, he just pulls you up into one corner and then he just walks past you and hits you in the hip.
Well, yeah. Mine almost always tend to be about here.
Yeah.
And I like to throw from here too because, you know, making patterns and breaking patterns. Once they know I've got it and they're scared of it, then that.
Yeah, yeah, he does that too. Yep. No, and then what's great is we just went through, Louis just went through that class yesterday, and that's the exact Moline offside leg.
And that's related to that, my favorite shot.
Yep.
It's that same.
And then you just change it up in the centers or whatever. So I guess the big take on this is don't think it's different, right?
Fighting's fighting.
Fighting's fighting, and if they do it to you, you probably can do it to them.
100%.
And a consistent principle through all these classes is how people are lining up. Is that idea that no matter what they are, the weapon shoulder is where you want to get the center of your chest when you actually get there in range. And that's what you're trying to push. For so many people to square up to a lefty, and that's why you really do want to take the motion and be right here. I don't want to fight it.
But he doesn't even have to be pressing. It's
No.
literally
Just lying.
There. Now for me to get to those shots, I got to go way out here to get to it, or I've got to go way up and around, and now he can read it.
You don't compensate with this. This stays the same. You just change 6 inches.
You have moments there where you both are jockeying for that
Yeah.
same.
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's kind of what all the maneuvering you see all these high level.
That's what all that move. That's just what all that footwork was for.
5 minutes of dancing before they engage is trying. One of them's trying to get that moment to take advantage of that.
All right. No, that's good. I mean, that's the idea. You guys, you have So I guess here's a question: do any of you guys have a lot of problem with the lefty, or like a shot you get hit by a lefty every time?
The wrap.
Okay, grab that shield, sword, and shield. Actually, grab that
It's
sword and
consistent
shield.
to get hit in this rig.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Now give him what your defense is. There we go. Now what route? Right in the armpit? See how you dragged your shield over there? And you're turning away, like he told? See? So now what would you have him do?
I'm more of a hit turn. I'm terrible. I always use like sports analogies.
No, it's fine.
Right, and for me, the sports analogy for this one is fielding grounders.
Right.
Right? Always square up on it. Let the ball come square in you, right? So for those sorts of things, make sure you're hit. There you go. Right? And the thing about doing it that way is if I go here, you haven't wildly thrown yourself out of position. You just do that. Whereas if you start to reach, that one's never comes. And it's easier to do that.
They are barely effective.
Okay. Anyone else?
High wrap.
Oh, high wrap.
But it's just so far.
You don't even need to change the sword much. Just pick it up.
About those, and I would say you want to make sure you're getting that cocked over. Because if you don't, and once I keep it on, so you want to make sure that you're throwing some defense out there. So if you're wrong about it, there you go. Okay.
But is that the appropriate response?
It is, but again, remember when I was talking about turning? That's
Yeah.
like hit instrument, so like that's where you got to watch. Because now,
But he's really,
that same motion, just watch. Right? That's that block. You see how much head is up there? Let me see the shit.
watch on him.
Like
Much more, isn't there?
yeah, it's huge. Yep.
It's better to work with a short sword so you have that defense for your hips.
Yeah, and again, bring your hips.
I was just going to say earlier that offside leg you threw. It seems like that's definitely one that I've thrown more than I should have by now as a short person, than probably against tall people than as a taller person might. I was just saying that might be more advantageous for short people. 'Cause that's what-
absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're much closer.
But he's a giant. No. But you're shorter, I get it.
I will tell you just in general, like we as an overall society just don't target below.
No.
There's like, and you'll see people that are out there, and the whole fight is just up here, and like you can hit thighs
the
for
belt
days,
and everything.
Yeah.
right? Even if a shot is not particularly effective for you, you can still keep it in your fight because it keeps your opponent on. So even if you never land that offside leg, the fact that you throw it a couple times in the fight keeps their shield centered down here and makes this head stuff way easier to get to. Right? Plus, you're probably going to hit them a lot, actually. What they say. If you do it in melee, you're done. Leg him and leave him.
Yep.
Kill me, please.
You can't corkscrew, but you can run off into the distance.
There you go.
You Grace, you have anything to add?
I didn't see the first part, so I'm not sure what I can add.
Yeah.
Show one shot. As a righty going against a lefty.
Yeah, let's see it.
Thing we've done before. Sword two. Only because I got to do it against him. I don't know if it'll always work. But you definitely have every time I've done it, it's the offside and drag it.
Oh, yeah.
So like you just throw the offside face where it gets the shield, and as you're coming back, as soon as it releases on the shield, the thrust, it is a thick, you're pretty vulnerable, but your hand is right here on the weapon side. But it's quick, right? Quick thrust. So it is one of the more effective anti-lefty shots of the last few years I've had.
Sometimes you don't even need it for
And really, if you can get that offside where they block with the shield, maybe where they can't even see you for a second, it's right there. They might be throwing, you can double, but your hand is still right here where the shot's coming also. So that's been a pretty effective shot. I guess it's just offside, that little bit of drag, and it pop as soon as it releases off the shield.
I think the big trick to tell everyone out here is that, there's lots of styles. Right. And you have to find what fits your body the best and what works for you the best. And the good part is that we have a lot of people that are here to help, to give you ideas. You don't have to do Dongal, even if you're the same size and everything of Dongal, like we're the same size. You know, even if I was a lefty, I would probably do things significantly different than Dongal. Maybe not the same, maybe not different in how the technique is done, but the timing may be different. Dongal's timing is much different than my timing, and we use the same work against each other all the time. But he throws in a very, he pre-calculates and pull people into positions that he can throw in a way that he's so smooth. You're like running into his sword. You're like, hey, can you move that thing? It's not supposed to be there, right? And for me, I tend to freeze you and throw into you. But that shot is the same shot. He's just throwing it in a different time than I am. So, and you know, the great part about this is that you present some things that for everyone to think about, and this is the idea, is to go home and try those things. And when I say try, I'm like, well, I'm going to go fight a guy I have a hard time with all the time and see if this works. But you really think something new against somebody who you're 50-50 against is going to work? Maybe not. Right? Find someone that's like, you're okay, I'm training them. I'm going to try this thing because I always have to, you know, I'm trying to help them so I don't tend to throw as many shots. So I'm going to try this different thing.
Did you talk about how you stay on my elbow and hips?
Yeah, and if you don't mind, we'll capture a tiny bit. And in fact, I'll capture it right here. So for in our style, we tend to do the same thing. We'll line up in that corner. And then I stay on his elbow. He is not very comfortable with his elbow. So I elbow and then offside head.
That's the thing, and it tempts you to want to do that, but you don't, because then you're showing that big.
Right, so all of a sudden, all I have to do is, here we are. And he's like, now he's going to pull that back and free that elbow. So, you know, those are the kinds of things. So watch where your tension is. Now watch what happens. I'll target his elbow, and I'm going to show you how much this changes. Here I go. I target his elbow, and then I stop. And then he's going to go ahead and do whatever he wants because I am waiting for him. If I am not pushing the initiative, as soon as I stop, he's going to go back to this offside head. And I have to do something. Now I'm responding.
You were scary and then you stopped being scary.
Then I'm scary and I stop. You have to control it from front to end. He's going to fight you against that. And he's going to try to take control front to end. But that's where the fight is. It's actually the blow at the end is just who got the right time.
We use the threat on the elbow to pull my hand down because my hand's in a better position to throw when it's up.
Yeah, go ahead, take that.
I'm comfortable up here by the point. Now I get it down here.
Lean.
I can't throw, yeah, and I'm leaning. I can't throw a pitch. I can't move my feet either. So I can, but just sticking to this part, if he threatens my elbow, I can ignore it, but then I'm going to lose my elbow. So I have to respond. So I either push down or out. And I put my shields up to protect this. But even with this protective, I've weakened my shots. Because now that when I go to throw, this happens.
Yep.
I have to pull up to get my decent shot because this is crap.
And all of these are much harder because he has a longer range to travel.
Right. The second one is, along with the elbow, he'll threaten the elbow, and then he'll get underneath and he'll cut under to threaten through here, my upper hip.
So it'd be like
This is a hell of a shot to pick up, and he almost never ever gets it. But what he wants, he doesn't want the shot, he wants me to pull back. Yes. It opens this. I have gone from pointing at him to pointing down and pointing over. So even though I think I'm facing him, I'm actually facing this direction. And I'm essentially fighting him sideways.
Yeah, now his sword's way back there.
Yeah, sword's back, my shot time open, all weak because of that. So that's the thing you watch for as a lefty. When you feel these threats, your correction can't be to sacrifice. It has to be something else. My typical one is a shift of some kind. He threatens my elbow. I like here.
Now I'm like, hey.
This says
Right,
you can
that's
throw
what
the
you
elbow,
just
now
showed.
you get hit on the elbow. You know, so the threat, in fact, I've gotten to the point when he threatens my hip, I actually pull my hip under because it reminds me my hip's probably not in a good place. and he hates this.
Yeah.
If I can get my hips under. So yeah, stay as you're fighting someone of the same hand or of opposite hands. Look for those. It looks like you guys are talking about direct effects, like if you push here, this opens up, and that's obviously true. But watch for compounded things like this, where what he will do is once he gets my arm down and my hip back, then he can do whatever he wants. It's not get these down to do this shot. It's
now wrong ball is out of position. Rhinus can throw whatever he wants to.
And that's what he's doing with that exact J step. So he puts some tension on me. I feel like he's coming into me, and he's not coming into me. He's coming into my shoulder.
Why is it called a J step?
Because what I don't want is to let, if like
He just does an angle.
if I just do this, right, he's just going to track it. Like even if you just peripheral vision, right, he's just going to pick up that I'm moving diagonally, right. But I'm disguising that by throwing him something up here, and my hip and everything is moving straight forward until the last part of that step, and then it goes out. So it makes how much that's recognizable a lot smaller.
I like that. That's really nice. All right.
So, quick check on learning. If you only can remember one thing that I taught you guys, what is it?
Overcross with the shield.
What do you do instead?
Either wait or go to the J step.
Well, okay, defensively, right?
Face up towards their short arm.
Just face it. That's what I got. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Now go practice.
That's right. Go practice.